I'm John Cameron of Indiana University Libraries, and I'm here to give the Avalon Media System update. So quick start off, what is Avalon? It's a solution bundle based on Samvera Stack components that's designed to be an audio and video access platform. So what makes Avalon unique are sort of easy transcoding, very specific access controls. It's sort of designed around a lot of the use cases from libraries and archives for audiovisual material. And our latest release is Avalon 7.6. The Avalon team, you can see us here. We recently got together in person. We were able to take a new team photo, which I've put up there. So I'm excited one day we'll get that on the website. And before I want to give the update, just shout out to our community. Currently on our website, we have 19 institutions listed. And then we have some in progress implementations of Avalon at Michigan State University. We're still working on a project with them. And this was part of the origin of the controlled digital lending in Avalon 7.5 that I'll mention. And then UCSD. So what's new? I'm just going to talk about the releases in Avalon that have happened over the past month since the last Samvera Connect. 7.5, 7.5.1, 7.6, and then RAMP, which is our library of media player components that I'll go into. So we've been busy. We had a couple minor releases and a point release. So what's new in 7.5? The big feature was controlled digital lending. So this is a fairly simple implementation of controlled digital lending. And then we also had a lot of fixes and different bugs and enhancements that had accumulated. And so there's quite a long list of things that we had changed with the big ones called out here below. Yeah, so controlled digital lending. It's, again, something you can set up for an Avalon install. It's enabled and disabled at the collection level, so you can have some collections be limited by this. It allows administrators to set up collection level defaults for lending periods and things like that. And there's a dashboard that users can use within. So this isn't set up in any production Avalon at the moment, but hopefully this will be part of MSU's setup as we go forward. So here you can see an example of what it looks like in Avalon, where media resources are gated by this need to, log into the system and then do a checkout or borrow action. And then they can be returned at any time. Again, we made it so very flexible in terms of time. But again, if it's configured, this will pop up in terms of controlled digital lending. And if you want to talk controlled digital lending, I would love to hear more about what anybody else is doing in the community. Okay, and then this point release 7.5.1, we had some fixes that we really wanted to get out there. Main one was with rendering the transcript viewer and just a lot of these little fixes that were important to get out. The next big one, though, is 7.6, where we went through and upgraded our big dependencies. This was our Rails 7 Ruby 3 update release. And we've got a few other things in there as well. We had written a Google Drive adapter for Browse Everything that needed to be updated, some bug fixes. And this is when we started really thinking about our IIIF manifest generation and trying to work to make that more aligned with best standards and practices in the IIIF community. And so the other big thing here is RAMP. So before this was known as IIIF React Media Player. And now we've renamed it and given it an actual name. So thank you, Emily, for pushing us to that. But now it's called RAMP. And again, this is our library that we're going to start using going forward. And the rename has already happened in the repository. So this lives within Samvera Labs. And everything has been renamed. So it's not IIIF React Media Player anymore. We still have a few sites with that name, but everything will be removed and everything will be updated, and we'll let everyone know. So here's a screenshot of what that looks like. So RAMP is made up of components. So each of these things, the media player, the transcript viewer, and the structural metadata sort of display over on the left there are all separate components, and implementers can add as many of these components to the page that they wish, or they can just put the media player in. And so our goal is to really keep working on this and improve our IIIF interoperability. So that's a big goal for us. We're continuing to work in the IIIF community, and we really want Avalon to not only generate the proper kinds of manifests, but also for our viewer to be able to, represent everything that's within the manifest. And then thinking about how we want to model things going forward. This is a really sort of good thing, and we're enjoying working in this community. It's really good. So, how can we model playlists, collections, further object modeling, different ways we can represent this information in IIIF, and basically make it available for playing in other players and also sort of eating our own dog food, as you could say. Okay. And so following up, so we just released Avalon 7.6, and 7.7 or maybe 8, depending on how it goes, is going to be a big release with a number of different things. So one is we're integrating ramp within the media player or within Avalon. So we're replacing the media element JS-based video player with ramp. We have some performance improvements around the application that we want to target. Adding support for multiple captions per file. That's something that we haven't had, and we're adding support for. And then adding UPI, which is a library for file upload and transfer. So we're thinking of replacing browse everything with this sort of, sort of broader JavaScript-based component to make some of our file uploading a little more abstracted, and so we don't have to keep updating and rewriting adapters. And that's my update. So we would love to talk to you, so please get in touch with us. We've got the public Avalon channel and Samvera Slack, a discussion list, and on our website, we have all the different ways to get in touch with us. All right, thank you.
Thanks, John. I don't see anything in the Q&A. We can go ahead and I'll pass things over to Rebecca for the Hyrax community and Hyrax related interest group update.
Thanks, Heather. Just share my screen here. Okay, hopefully everyone can see my slides. So hi, everyone. I'm Rebecca Cuddy. I'm the Institutional Repository Librarian at UNC Chapel Hill, and I am also the current Hyrax product owner. My pronouns are she, her. And I just wanted to give a brief update on Hyrax and also the related interest in working groups, the Hyrax Maintenance Working Group and the Hyrax Interest Group, and just tell you about what we've been up to since Connect last year. So in case folks aren't familiar with Hyrax, it is a Ruby on Rails engine built by Samvera. Hyrax provides a foundation for creating many different digital repository applications. So we have been pretty busy in Hyrax land over the past 6 months. So we have one stable release, which is Hyrax 3.5. We have also had 2 release candidates for Hyrax 4. Just a reminder, Hyrax 4 is the version that has upgrades to Blacklight 7, Bootstrap 4, and Rails 6. And also recently, we released a release candidate 2 with Ruby 3.2 support last night. We'll be testing it during the May maintenance working group cycle, so it's still very new, but we're really excited to have that support. Members of the Hyrax Maintenance Working Group participated in the January Developer Congress, where we assessed Hyrax Valkyrization work. We tested Hyrax tickets in the backlog, finalized and posted the Hyrax maintenance policy, fixed some flaky tests, and updated the core components for Ruby and Rails. I would especially like to highlight the Hyrax maintenance policy. This was written by Julie Hardesty, and she also facilitated discussion on this. The policy defines supported versions of Hyrax for maintenance work, and also how we plan to handle new features, bug fixes, security fixes, and dependencies. It's available on the Hyrax documentation page on GitHub, and I'll post a link to that in the Slack once I'm done with my update here. The bulk of our work over the past few months has been to transition Hyrax Dev, Hyrax PG, and Hyrax Stable to Samvera AWS servers. I would just like to extend a huge thanks to DCE for hosting Hyrax for so long, and also to Michael Klein for his help in setting up the servers. We have never run Hyrax in the cloud prior to this move, so this was just a huge undertaking and a really, really great accomplishment by everyone involved. So the next few months before Connect, we'll be working on several projects. As I mentioned, thanks to the amazing work of Tamsin and Daniel, we released an RC2 of Hyrax 4 last night. So our goal now is to work towards a stable release. And of course, the first step is going to be user testing, which will take place again during the May Hyrax maintenance working group sprint. We'll also be working with the Princeton and Surfliner team towards Valkyrized Hyrax. We are still working out the details, but this work will likely take place later in the summer, and Heather's found a few community communications about this work. And of course, we'll be participating in the May 2023 Developer Congress. So the Hyrax Maintenance Working Group has also been pretty busy, speaking of them. So for those who aren't aware, the Hyrax Maintenance Working Group supports the core maintenance and development for Hyrax. So we fix bugs, we review other issues, we review PRs. We use the Hyrax-WG channel in the Samvera Slack during sprints if you'd like to get a chat with us. The Maintenance Working Group operates on under a 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off sprint cycle. So we just finished a sprint last week. Our next sprint will start on May 15th. And all Hyrax maintenance work is also pledge drive eligible. So if you would like to pledge some hours and put them towards Hyrax, the maintenance working group is a great place to do that. And our sprints are at 1 p.m. Eastern, starting May 15th. So here's a list of all the wonderful people who have participated in Hyrax maintenance working group sprints since the last Connect. We have a core team of Jessica Hilt, Julie Hardesty, Daniel Pierce, and myself. Others are working on this on a sprint by sprint basis. We greatly appreciate everyone's help and contributions. Even if you only have a little bit of time to devote to Hyrax maintenance, we really appreciate all the time everyone can give. Thanks. The Hyrax Interest Group. So the Hyrax Interest Group is the place to learn more about Hyrax and the Hyrax Maintenance Working Group. It's the core leadership and management body for the Hyrax roadmap. So it's the place to go if you would like to discuss something about Hyrax. You can attend our meetings or ask on Slack. Our Slack channel is Hyrax-interest-group. The Hyrax Interest Group meets on the second Wednesday of the month from 11:30 to noon Eastern, right before the tech call. Our next meeting will be next week on May 10th. That's all I have. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you can do so on Samvera Slack or email me directly. Thanks.
Thanks, Rebecca. I don't see any questions in the Q&A, so we can move to the Hyku community update.
All right, thank you. Does that look right?
Looks great.
Except I'm not at the beginning. All right. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm Kevin Kochansky, Client Liaison, SoftServe by Scientist.com, and just going to give you an update on what's going on with Hyku these days. And for those new to the game, because there's always a few people who are like, what's Hyku? What's the difference between Hyku and Hyrax? I can't take the time to answer all that here, but essentially, Hyrax is a Rails gem or a Rails engine that creates a repository. Hyku is a solution based on the Hyrax, and it takes a lot of the components of Samvera and delivers a turnkey repository application. Some general updates going on with Hyku. The current release is 5. We're in the 5s, 0.0.1. This includes a lot of work that came through the Hyku for Consortia project about groups that have roles attached. So there's a list of a lot more granular roles with permissions attached that are now available in Hyku. Analytics, Hyku can now be linked to Google Analytics accounts with exportable reporting on content and usage with a given date range, which is pretty exciting. It features a Hyrax upgrade to not the 4 series yet, but the latest in 3.5.0 from when that work was done. And you can now customize the favicon for your repository in the appearance dashboard. And graph nested indexer. Administrators can now use Solar graph queries to skip having to do nested indexing. And that speeds up adding and editing items to large collections quite substantially. We are looking to the release of Hyku 6, and this will be a major upgrade for Hyrax 4 series. This includes Blacklight up to 7 and Rails to 6 or 7, whichever makes the most sense at the time. So that's going to be a lot of work. It will also likely include PDF splitting out of the box and serverless IIIF support. Valkyrie, you may have heard and will definitely hear a bit about a community effort to pledge for some sprints related to Valkyrie. Some of these will be funded with money. Some of them will be funded with developer time, and there'll be a lot of information on that in the community, but Hyku is going to play a role in this as well as we bring Valkyrie forward. Repo.samvera.org is a Hyku repository for the Samvera community, and it'll be kind of the case study for moving a Hyku application off of Fedora 4. The Hyku interest group, come one, come all. We meet the last Thursday of each month. We get project updates from every pilot project that has exciting things going on. So really important for us to have those conversations and align on what other projects are doing, so we know what should go back into core, so that we can decide what we want to, one project can borrow from another and work in alignment instead of parallel. We give release updates. We also report back on what goes on in the technical calls about Hyku. This is much more user-focused call. And everybody's welcome. Drop in and ask questions. Drop in and just listen. Just drop in and have a cup of tea. Projects in development. I'll try to move pretty quickly because there is a lot going on. University of Louisville has been working on their Hyku for a while, and they're very excited to say that they'll be relaunching their digital collections on Hyku on May 8th with nearly 80,000 items, including images, maps, and newspapers. Ubiquity Press is in the Hyku business, and they are onboarding the first 5 tenants from the Empire State Library Network Consortium to their Hyku platform. And we are also happy to announce 2 more community members, Danica and Heather, have joined Ubiquity. So we have a Ruby developer and repository account manager. And Heather has been participating in interest group calls. So if you want to meet her, that would be a nice place to stop by and say hi. Amigos Library Services is a not-for-profit, multi-type membership-based organization that's dedicated to serving libraries. They have installed Hyku 5 using Docker on AWS, and they're demonstrating it to libraries interested in piloting consortial institutional repository service. Their next step is to create a more production-ready environment and allow librarians to evaluate the software for themselves. But initial reactions have been really positive. So that's great to hear from another source that's relatively newer to the community that there's good word around Hyku. Palni and Palsi with the Hyku for Consortia project continue to be among the leaders in the space. They are running Hyku Commons now, a multi-tenant repository service with 18 tenants in production currently and 48 in pilot or test for their member libraries. This project focuses on community to share expertise and strategy and strategize development, and they use Basecamp to communicate, and they hold monthly user group meetings. They're very organized. Their website, hykuforconsortia.org, is new and improved. It offers a fresh look and highlights their recently released collaborative repository toolkit. That toolkit is a platform agnostic resource for shared research shared repository services. Includes topics for consideration and examples from their project. They are seeking feedback on that toolkit. So poke around, take a look, and submit your thoughts in the Google form link. Elsewhere, they have completed their second user experience study, and they have completed their second Hyku Commons user satisfaction survey. It's very user-focused, feedback-focused project. They have recently completed a metadata-focused sprint with SoftServe that included new metadata fields, rich text support, a fix to a value order bug, and the ability to upload metadata-only records and improvements to OAI PMH. A little before that, we completed a sprint with them for upgrading and bug resolution. So they've upgraded their Hyku. This included improvements to feature and search collections, batch editing, analytics, appearance settings, homepage redesign, and cross-tenant search. They've got a post that has more information about that. They have a workflow-focused development sprint with SoftServe coming up, and they are looking to plan one for the end of spring for front-end features to be developed in a sprint. They also have further user-focused focus group sessions planned and a final gap analysis that will be delivered in July as part of the wrap-up for the IMLS grant. They are looking ahead to optimize the service model and leverage partnerships for additional feature development. They also want to draw attention to the pledge drive to advance the Hyku and Hyrax Valkyrization project, and they have their own blog about that as well, one of the many places that you'll be able to read a little bit about the goals of that pledge drive. And kind of tangential projects that will be related to Hyku for Consortia and their partners. There are two groups collaborating with Hyku for Consortia in spring and summer of this year. Reshare is a community-based resource sharing platform that's used by consortia for interlibrary loan and will be integrating Hyku as a repository for their controlled digital lending. And University of Pittsburgh is sponsoring a SAML plugin for Hyku using Shibboleth, and also metrics relating to view and downloads that will be exposed by a counter and sushi endpoint in compliance with counter report requirements. There's often talk in the community about counter compliance, and this will be something to move that forward. Adventist Digital Library is continuing migration from their existing Islandora application. It was going to be a 2-tenant instance, but they're in the process of launching a third. So they've got one that features all formats of works, one that is a text database tenant that consists of citations with either attached PDFs or links to remote files. And the new one will be a full repository that will feature all formats of works, but is restricted to local use through Hyku's institution visibility option. They've recently implemented the IIIF print gem with Universal Viewer to deliver PDFs with full text search of OCR pages, and they are still working with SoftServe to optimize PDF splitting and page-by-page processing for that. And for OCR, they're using Tesseract's best vocabulary. Upcoming dev work for the ADL is to explore possibilities of serverless IIIF or potentially move to Cantaloupe Server for image delivery. They are enabling the Universal Viewer with audio and video, and their full text search enhancements will include highlighting search terms that will appear then in the Universal Viewer and reindexing of works that were loaded to the library before the IIIF print gem was installed. Shared research repository from the British Library. Since last Connect, the British Library has a new member of the team. Nora Ramsey is the Assistant Digital Services Specialist, and she joined in February. A number of organizations are keen to join that service when the British Library is prepared and the platform developments have been finalized. Their newest partner is the National Trust, who will be launching their repository and appearing on the search page, the shared search page later this year. Recent and current developments for this shared research repository include XML import and export, which is nearly complete. UV improvements are also finished. That's resulted in a new work type page for page derivatives created by the UV for PDFs, and to filter out child pages from the parent record. Plan S work is nearly completed, and Iris UK feed has been implemented for statistics. And University of Tennessee in Knoxville is still in development with SoftServe. They've added a new work with attachment to allow for flexible metadata on the files. In order to accomplish that, we've pulled in a IIIF print gem so that parents show their children in the UV and everything is available in one IIIF manifest. They've added the ability to audio and video to show in Universal Viewer. And Allenson Flex is working on this project for YAML uploads, but the UI is a bit buggy in Hyku. So happy to share notes if anybody wants to reach out and contribute to any work on fixing the Allenson Flex UI in Hyku. They are currently working on migrating the data with plans to go live in December. And just our wrap-up items, finally getting there. We've got a couple of hosted solutions that continue in the community. We have Hyku Up from SoftServe, and we also have the U repositories from Ubiquity Press. And this last busy slide full of information about where you can read about Hyku. Certainly join Samvera Slack. I hope everybody here is already on that, but we've got a Hyku channel, which is a great place for questions. And there's a small Hyku Google group where we share big announcements, though those usually go out at the Samvera level as well. Details again on the interest group and also the developer call. And just want to say thanks.